As you've developed and like progressed through your business career and sort of financial career, have you found you've had to focus on different aspects in terms of your mindset and almost keeping your head screwed on different points? There's like stresses and pressures and like everything just suddenly starts to change a lot when you've got a lot more, almost too many options in life.
Yeah, there's a lot of distractions as you progress in life because it's easy just to enjoy the summer. Like Jim Rohn, a previous mentor of mine, he used to like put it into 4 seasons of life. So obviously you've got your spring, autumn, winter, summer. And I went through a stage probably the last few months where I've like made the most money I've ever made in my life and I can pretty much do anything I want. And I was enjoying those summer moments. So like holidays, relaxing, still working, but probably not working to my full potential. But because I built the systems, the team, the structure, I was just enjoying those moments. And then now it's like getting ready for autumn again. And because obviously I've reaped what I've sown. And then now I want to build again to go to the next stage. And I think it's good to sometimes settle down, enjoy the next mountain, as it were. So you climb one mountain, then there's another. Another
peak.
You get up, yeah. So that's sort of where I'm at now.
You seem to have, and I think I mentioned this before, you've got a very like calm aura about you. Is that always something you've had or something that you've developed over time? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, I would say myself including that, can be very like too high octane and too like over the top sometimes. And they're like, I've started meditating now to try and like bring in my focus to not think about a billion different things at the same time. Like singularity of focus is like the thing I'm trying to imprint on my brain now to focus on one thing. Have you done anything to sort of focus on that for yourself over the last few years?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I started meditating like 8 years ago. It was very similar type of personality, just always doing it, just forward thinking, full of ideas, doing everything. And meditation definitely keeps you calm, grounded. I think over time I've learned to always in my mind it's simplifying things, whether it's business. So like I only started my second business like 3 years ago after my first business was successful for 5 years running, doing 7 figures. Then I started my second 7-figure business and it was a lot easier. I got there a lot quicker because I'd learned from previous mistakes, but also it's not getting caught up in just hyper growth all of the time because then you got so much complexity, then you get more stress and then you get more on top of things. So it's like I always want to make sure that the businesses don't really affect me personally as much, and then I can turn on the pressure when I want to go like hyper growth and go into something, then I can come back and be calm. So meditation definitely helps for sure, and I think it's just like you said, focus on one thing. There's a good book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. I just was reading it again actually last week, but that always sticks in my mind is like trying to keep things simple in business is very important. A lot of people get distracted, and I see that all the time where they invest in other businesses, start up a 5th, 6th, 7th business, like instead of just focus on 1 or 2 core businesses, because as humans it's impossible to focus on 4 or 5 different ideas and projects at the same time. Do
you see that with a lot of, say, like I see that with some of the business coaching students I teach and other entrepreneurs? They try and have too many different programs, too many different offerings, and it's almost too complicated from their point of view, and even the end consumer doesn't even know what to fucking buy. Do you see that happen a lot?
Yeah, well, they call it like you want to have one product, one problem to solve, like get to 1 million on like one thing first. One funnel, like one channel, one channel, Alex Hormozy style. Yeah. That sticks with me as well because you see people adding on too many different offers, too many different products. Again, I'm always simplifying, like even in our online education company, we have like 3 products, but really it's like 2 because obviously we have the mastermind, but it's really, and then now I'm trying to put it just into 2 from the 3 because again, to give customers a choice, you don't want to overcomplicate. I think the maximum is really want to give them 3 offerings, ideally 2. Yeah, a lot of people create probably too many offerings at the start and that complicates things.
Coming back to you and some of your routines and how you keep yourself so organized and calm, as even like this podcast is coming across very like controlled, how do you structure your day in that aspect to keep things under control? And you mentioned as well that you are quite limited with the amount you let yourself work to some degree, and that's all built upon systems and structure. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So like my everyday is, I always start like with a journal. I never check emails, go on the laptop before realistically probably 11 a.m, 12 p.m. The morning ritual for me is get up, I'll either go for a run, go to the gym, have a protein shake, coffee, and then I'll normally go to a coffee shop, have my journal, go through my day plan, what projects I need to work on, brainstorm ideas, and then I'll probably start work at like 11, 12. And then it's probably sprint, so like a 90-minute sprint, rest, do some lunch, another 90 minutes, then maybe another 90 minutes. So like I think the core focus time is important. So realistically, 3 lots of chunks of 90 minutes. If I haven't got a mastermind Q&A or something on that day, is normally how I best work. But I like floating around and having freedom, I think, just a lot now. Like because one decision can make a big impact. So there might be 2-3 days where people might think I don't actually do work as such, apart from maybe catching up with some of the team in Slack. But a lot of the time I'm thinking about recreating my offer, what value I can bring, whether it's a new ad campaign, whatever. I'm just doing a lot of the thinking stuff, because that's when the best ideas come, rather than tasks all of the time. I don't really like sticking to them anymore, but I had to do that to get to where I got to. So that's what a lot of people try and skip, to the point of how can I automate and delegate and systemize my business from day one and not be working in the business. Like, I worked in the business for the first 3 years or so at least, and I did the extra 60, 70 hours a week while systemizing a business, whilst delegating, because that's what it takes to be successful. Yeah.
At what point did you realize you could suddenly start to delegate and systematize things more? And did you at any point struggle to give things off? Because like one of my favorite sayings is like, you can either have like growth or you can have control. You can't like do everything yourself and let the business grow within itself.
Yeah, very true. Just learning from lots of mentors at the start. So reading a lot of books, YouTube, podcasts, attending different seminars, and then I understood automation. So like LinkedIn automation, email automation. Then it was like outsourcing to virtual assistants back in the day, years ago, when 4-hour work week was a thing with Tim Ferriss. All of those things was a framework of like how I could do things slightly differently. And then it was systemizing a business with the E-Myth by Michael Kerber. I got to meet him a couple of times. So that was a systems mindset of like, any repeatable process inside the business, can we get a standardized SOP? Can we do video tutorial step by step, outsource it to either a VA or someone in the team and delegate, which is important. But again, control, So probably the first 2 or 3 years I controlled a lot. And then over time, I've delegated everything to my recruitment agency side. I don't do anything in that business. And it still does very well, even though I know if I went back in that business and spent time in the office for 2 weeks, I would probably go nuts. Why we're doing it this way? Why we're not doing that? Why we're not doing that? The more hands off you are, once you've got a team of A players, you can trust them. They might not do it the way you want to do it. And if you were in the business, it might perform a little bit better, but then I couldn't focus on my other businesses as well. And it's probably not a high leverage task. So it's all about like making sure that you focus on high leverage tasks and the low value tasks. You always want to try and outsource and delegate as soon as possible.
Would you say one of the keys to your success, I find myself doing this sometimes, like you mentioned there, like you go into office, like if I go into Slack or I start looking at things, like, for fuck's sake, why has this been done like this? And I start like overly micromanaging things. Is that something you try and keep yourself back from, to try and focus on the overall rather than too many specifics sometimes?
Yeah. But I think I'll end up getting down a rabbit hole as soon as I dive into something like that. And then I'll either just fix it there and then. Like, say if we've got an outreach campaign using LinkedIn for organic outreach and the messaging isn't right, or we're not getting good reply rates, or we haven't set things up right, I would rather just go in, do a Google Doc, do step by step, and then boom, that's the training, that's it done. But as humans, what you tend to find with employees as well is they don't follow process anyway. So I spent a lot of the time, probably year 2, year 3, literally trying to systemize everything in the business. And you just realize humans just don't follow it. Like, they're never going to be entrepreneurial like you. And they're never going to do it as good as you. So you've got to be prepared that if you're going to do it 9, 10 out of 10, they're probably going to do it 6 or 7 out of 10. So you've got to make sure that there's things underpinning that's going to at least get them to that standard. Otherwise, you'll be working tirelessly all the time trying to get them up to 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And I think just like if you lower the expectations a little bit around when you do delegate, it's never going to be done as good as you, no matter how much you shout and scream and build step-by-step processes. Like, things are naturally always going to break to a certain point.